Hello and welcome to the Nappies and Sick podcast, where we discuss all things little people. My name's Declan Dowks, and with me via the internet we have my two co-hosts. One has taken the YouTube scene by storm, and the other is an actual president. Yes, it can only be Charlieland, aka Distinctly Charlie, and Victoria Pickles. Episode 1, the first trimester. So before we get stuck in, if you're someone who's come here for some really deep philosophical life-changing debates, then don't waste your time, because this podcast probably isn't the one for you. We'll probably market ourselves at thought-provoking at best. But for everyone else, hello, welcome. It's lovely to have your company wherever you listen to us from, whether it be on a dog walk, on the school run, in the shower, or even on the toilet. Okay, yeah, that is a bit strange. But hey, we're not here to judge. I'm drinking PG tips at the moment, for God's sake, so who am I to judge?
I think I'm drinking that now.
I'm drinking whatever my parents bought.
You're drinking gin. We know what you're drinking.
No, I had that last night.
We've got off to a good start then. How are you both doing?
I'm alright, thank you. How are you?
Yes, not bad. Now, this has been in the pipeline for quite some weeks now, since we first suggested this. What were your thoughts when I first asked you to do it with me?
I mean, I was down for it. Like, I'm already on YouTube. If I do a podcast as well, it's kind of the same thing.
Well, you've mentioned it now, so you might as well plug it. What's it called?
Distinctly Charlie.
There you are. We don't have a podcast for no reason.
No. But, yeah, it kind of made sense, and it meant I could bring the more professional side in, because my YouTube's my fun talk about rubbish side.
It's rubbish. Yeah. You need to big it up a bit.
Talk about rubbish.
I think I was on one video, weren't I? At one point.
In several. I'm quite offended.
About rubbish, not professional things.
Oh, but, just clarify. Yeah,
Declan, your birthday's got a lot of views.
I think you're a bit of a skeptic. I get the impression.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think you take some convincing, usually.
I do with everything, yeah. I listen to podcasts anyway. Like, in the shower. I would just listen to them when I was in the shower. And, like, when I'm going to sleep. And I've never done anything like this before, ever. I've never put anything, like, out on the internet before, so...
No, I've not. I needed a nervous wee before we started. That's how nervous I was.
It'd be something different and something that I could probably show my mum, because my mum doesn't really do the internet.
Right. You see, it's going well already, because I've lost my notes. Right. So, you might not know this, but I've asked a few other people, right? You know, like big celebrities, and they didn't want to come on. Which I was quite offended by, really. So that's why we ended up with you two.
I'm a big celebrity.
Welcome.
I mean, 47 subs doesn't count for nothing, but yeah.
You're doing quite well, and I'm glad I could help in that way, Charlie, because I'm sure the subscriber count went up a good 30 after that video.
I'm sure it did. I mean, there's one or two people I was just like, please subscribe. But then again, I have got a new channel somewhat.
You was plugging it, weren't you, when we went to the Harry Potter store in York?
I was. Yes. What? We went to the Harry Potter store in York for Declan's birthday, and there was a guy who was there at the one section, and I collect for ones. So I was like, oh, I've got a YouTube channel. And he was like, oh, will you shout me out? I'm like, okay. So I actually shouted him out in Declan's birthday video. So,
see, I thought after you said that, it'd give you a discount, but it didn't, did it?
I want a shout out.
Tori gets shout outs every video, love.
I was disappointed with that.
I thought you get more shout outs than me.
Yeah, I'm featured.
You are.
Yeah, but do you get a cut of the money?
No, I do not get the monetization.
Well, you could be negotiating that.
I need that.
I don't get a cut of the money.
I want to address the elephant in the room. All right.
Okay.
So, when we was discussing about the name of this episode, yes, and I asked one specific member of the team to come up with a suggestion. Tori, would you like to tell everybody what you came up with?
I can't remember. Was it the first one?
It was, yeah. You see, I thought he was being quite practical. I thought you must have been thinking there must be some sort of copyright over every other name, so you had to just put one here in front of it. You see, I'm pretty sure there isn't. Don't waste your time doing that.
Oh,
I thought it was quite funny though. I was hoping for a really good suggestion because we are early years students. But no,
I'm straight to the point.
It was just one.
It's straight to the point. No messing about. We know what we're here for. We're here for the first one.
I mean, it was more interesting than I think my first vlog video. No, it was Who Is Distinctly Charlie, and then it was vlog 1, Move-In Week. And
what did you think of the Nappies and Sick title though? I thought it was quite good.
I feel like it was my day-to-day life at placement. I've primarily been in baby rooms when I've been on placement, so it was
when I first started going on placement, and I'm talking before I started college, last thing I wanted to do was be in a nursery.
I did volunteer in but I did volunteer work in a high school when I was doing my Duke of Edinburgh, so...
God, that was bold.
Yeah. Well, I was volunteering with my local breakthrough project, so it was kind of needed. Well, kind of. I was supporting with a friend who works at the breakthrough project, so I was kind of a helper there.
Is it good, the Duke of Edinburgh?
It's good. Very physically tiring and mentally tiring. And if you're with me, never put me on map duty because honestly, I got my whole...
I am the same. I cannot read maps for the life of me. Orienteering, I would always be the one that got lost.
I got my whole group lost on the day, so much that we had to call the people to help us, and we had to walk through like at least 2 meters of like thorns and overgrown bushes.
Mountain rescue. Come save me.
I can read nautical charts, but I suppose that's not going to help if you're like lost on the motorway.
I don't even know what that is.
Like water. Like the map of the sea.
Well, if we get flooded, like Noah's Ark, then we'll let you know.
If it rains heavily, I know where I am. So
they always say, don't they, you got to set your stall out thing.
Yes.
So I think we should tackle some of the big issues. Haircuts. Have you had any COVID-19 haircut disasters? Because honestly, if we were recording this via Zoom, you would not want to see my hair. It's awful.
I mean, my mum cut my hair, so, I mean, you should have all... If you've watched my channel, you'll have seen
You're like I said, you should have watched it.
If you've watched it. I nearly said you should have watched it and seen it, but I was like, nah, I shouldn't be cocky. I went from... My blonde was growing out, so we bleached it, then it turned orange, and I was like, no, I can't deal with this. Bear in mind, it was still long at this point. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm sick of this. And then I went, Mum, can we dye my hair red? So we dyed my hair red. And then... half of it didn't take to the colour, so I had like, it was red and then it went lighter. And then we cut it, and now it's like a bob. And then I had to dye it again, and it's still not even taken full colour on part of my hair.
I cut my mum's hair. I'm left-handed and I just couldn't use the scissors properly. And I just gave up. I was like, Mum, you're just going to have to do it yourself. My hair in the summer, though, the ends go ginger. So I have like this when I was like 9 or 10, my hair was pretty like aubany ginger, and as I got older it got browner, but in the summer I go ginger again. But I'm not actually ginger, so nobody in my family's ginger, so my whole family's like, I don't understand why you go ginger. I can't do anything easy.
Well, you've made it to the end of year 2 of uni, so it's something's right.
Yeah, I do love ginger hair though. My friend's got ginger hair and it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so jealous.
Now, we did briefly touch on a few days ago about childhood memories. And Tori, yes. You said you have to remember, you have to write down what we're going to say. Yes. And I was like, well, what? Sure, you can remember. But obviously not. What's your earliest childhood memory? What can you remember very first?
Oh, I don't know. Charlie, you go first.
Can you not read your handwriting?
I didn't write it down because I tried to make it like proper. I thought, oh, it'll just come to me. No. I have
I'm trying to
one
think.
really weird memory. Well, not
What's
weird,
that?
but when I used to live with my mum and my dad together, we had this massive fish tank, and I was only like 2, and it had this fish, and it was a fish that sort of cleans, do you know, the algae off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just used to look at it and be like, whoa. I used to think it was a mini shark. And it was just like this big black fish. And that's like my first memory of going, whoa, I've got a shark in my house.
God.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then my second earliest memory is falling down the stairs. So.
Well, that explains a lot. I'm not going to lie.
My dad caught me by my ankles at the bottom of the steps.
Oh wow. That's
They were
Oh, so
wooden
you
as
didn't
well,
fall
so-
then? You
Oh
got
no, I did. I fell
saved.
from the top, and he caught me at the bottom. a bit redundant by that point, but.
Wow.
What about you, Charlie?
Honestly, I don't really have that many memories because my memory is shocking.
Mhm.
But I remember stuff I did in terms of like when we went out to do somewhere, like go somewhere, but I don't remember the day-to-day things when I was young. I'll get told it. My mum will be like, oh, this happened. I'll be like, wait, what? But I don't actually have much recollection of most of my childhood. So, like, I remember a few things, like when I was 6 and I went to London to see Les Mis because I love musical theatre, so that'll always stick. But then things like when I was at nursery and I fell down the toilet and a little boy saved me. I don't remember that, but apparently it happened.
That's not what I was.
Just back up a bit. How did that happen?
Yeah, you just skimmed over that.
I went to the toilets that were too big for me. Like, you know, when you've got in the classroom, you've got the big kid toilets, and then you've got the younger kid toilet. I
Small
went to the
people
big kid toilets, and I fell down the seat, and this little boy came and saved me. And every single, like, my parents still remember the kid's name, and they'll bring it up, and I'll be like, I don't remember this person. And they're like, it happened. I'm like, I know it happened. I just don't remember them.
I wasn't expecting that, I must admit.
No, neither did I. That was.
Getting
You see,
saved from falling down a toilet. It's like what's that film with rats in it? Honestly,
I think one of my earliest memories was in reception class, and I was trying to be one of the cool kids because everybody had cartons of milk at milk time, and I tried to open it from the side.
Yes.
And typical me, I tried it like everybody else, and it went absolutely all over me. I was mortified.
Oh, I bet that smelled so bad.
Oh, honestly, you've no idea. Everyone was looking. It wasn't a nice situation. I've been scarred for life. I like cows now, ever since that moment.
Don't you?
I never liked them anyway.
Don't you always find all the children at placement or always spill milk on the ground?
There's always one
drinking it, and they'll always squeeze the cart, and it just shoots out the top.
And the paper towels are no good at all for that.
Like the least absorbent thing. It's like trying to mop it up with a whiteboard. Like it doesn't work.
Have you tried that? Have you? Is that a tried and tested method?
That's the first thing that came to my head, to be honest.
You see, I always lose whiteboard pens. That does me in. How did we become to be at said university? We won't name it, but
my grandma was a nursery teacher, and she once even taught my mum in one of her classes for a few months, and my mum said it was horrible. She was a teacher. My stepbrother is also a teacher, and his wife is also a teacher. We are a family of teachers. Oh, my sister's also a teaching assistant. Another sister.
Oh wow!
My mum,
because she act like you're still in the class.
Being in the classroom with my grandma, because it was a bit like she'd be like, Isabel, and what, mum? In
that voice, in that posh sort of London
Isabel
accent.
Oh no, she's quite Yorkshire.
Come on, Charlie. How did you go into be interested in English as a second language? Because that's a very niche sort of area of education.
Well,
Even compared to SEN, it's a
Yeah.
bit wild.
For me, it's more obviously. Well, last year I found out I was dyslexic, so obviously I struggle with it myself, and I was like, "What is it like for someone to learn it as a second language?" So I'm doing my dissertation on it as well, and I kind of got to a point where I was helping out all these people with English, and I was just like, "Why don't I specialize in this? I'm enjoying teaching it and supporting people I've never met with their English. Why not make something of it?" Whether I specialize here in the UK or whether I go to Korea, if I don't, I do, you know what I mean? But it was more because of the curiosity on how it is for someone to learn our language and how they do it and what are the differences to somebody who is a child in the UK and learning it. You know, it's all the differences in how it's taught. Yeah. And then you've got the aspect of you're also able to learn about different cultures as you teach this and show them about ours. So, yeah. Now, so I'm on module 11 out of 17, and then after I've done that, I'll pass my teaching course.
That's so good. And what is it, like an open university degree or course? What is it?
It's with TEFL. So Teaching English as a Foreign Language, that company. And you can get work through them, you can do a course through them, and yeah, it's got 17 modules on it, the one I've paid to do.
What age would you want to teach English to Charlie?
It'd be primary school age, like primary lower ages, like at the point where it'd be almost like teaching phonics again, up until teaching standard basic grammar and playing games. I wouldn't want to teach adults, but I will be qualified to teach adults.
Yeah, so would it be sort of like when we learnt French and Spanish at primary school?
Yeah, essentially.
Or would it be more formal and like more often? Because the only thing I can say in Spanish is I have a cat, and that's not that helpful.
I think I'd teach every class in the school. Just I don't know how often I teach every class in a school, essentially. So you're there at the school, and you kind of often have mostly one teacher in a public school. Okay. So I'd go from reception to year 6 essentially, and I might have them once a week, I might have them twice a week. I think it depends on like the age group and how much they want them doing it. If it's more vocational for that age, if it's not. But especially in Korea, they need it more for work, and a lot of them want to work abroad, and they have to do special tests and stuff. So yeah, it'll be more than your standard English, like people learning Spanish. It'll be like almost just another lesson.
Yeah, more frequent.
But more fun as well, especially if I get to do the lesson plans, which I really want to do. I've learned lesson planning, and honestly, it was my most fun module.
Would you be able to come back and teach in England then, Charlie, if you wanted to?
I wouldn't be able to teach English as a second language in the UK, so I'd only have my qualifications that I'm doing degree-wise, but I would be able to say, well, I've done this, or I've got this qualification, I know how to specialise in this area. So I don't know whether it affect me getting work, but if I say, look, I'm qualified to teach English as a second language, if there's an ESL child in a school, they might allow me to support more, or...
Yeah, like a bit of a support worker.
Yeah, like the ideal thing for me would be being an ESL support teacher. We notice a lot of support primarily for the ESL children. You see it for the additional needs, but you don't see like an ESL support teacher in the school or anything. You just see the care support teachers. You don't see anyone focus in that area. Because as I've been doing this course, I've picked up on, actually, they do learn it a lot differently. And depending on the primary language, you've got to teach it completely different to how we teach kids English here.
I don't think, personally, I've seen enough support given to English as a second language children. I know in one place that I visited, they used PECS books, picture exchange communication systems. And sign language, that was another one. But it wasn't proper sign language. It was more just acting out the activities, that sort of thing. But apart from that, I've not seen a real effort to implement that in classrooms, and that's quite sad because they're not getting the support they need.
That's true.
What about you, Declan? Why did you decide to be an early years teacher? Because Not very common for it to be a man, unfortunately.
Do you know the statistic?
3%? Is it 3?
Oh, you know your stuff, yes.
I'm sure you've told me that before.
Up until how did I get into it? Well, I always wanted to teach right from year 2. Probably a good teacher, but at my primary school, the male teacher was teaching year 3, I think. But again, he wasn't inspiring. he was ready for retiring, if I'm honest. He was at that time where he just got bored with teaching. When I was going to open days and things for university, I had my heart set on teaching primary. And I went to listen to the talk. Again, we'll not mention the lecturer. But then I went downstairs to our early years room, and at the same time, one of the lecturers was doing a talk, and that had me right from then. Right from the off, I was like, yes, that is me. So, yes, that's my story into early years.
That's similar to me, though. I originally applied to our university to do a different course.
Which one?
I applied to do childhood studies.
Ooh, boo.
And I went to I went to like the applicant day with my mum, and obviously I went to do the like activities and stuff, and I came back out and my mum went, "You didn't like it, did you?" And I went, "It was okay." And she went, "No, your face, you're not as happy as when you went in." And then I went and I spoke to the person who was head of early years at that time, and she just spoke to me, and I was like, "Okay, this is what I want to do." Pretty similar to you, but I didn't even know the early years course existed, really.
I was surprised I didn't see you then, because I'm sure I was a student ambassador when you was in year 1.
I remember Mercedes. I don't know if I can say her name. I remember her.
Sorry,
I'm sure you will be able to say it.
I'm sure. Hi, Mercedes. Just hi. Yeah, I remember. I remember her doing one of the talks, because they were all stood at the front in like their blue shirts.
Well, where was I then?
I don't know.
I mean, you'd probably recognise me, wouldn't you?
I might have seen you. I don't know. I remember you were there in our Flying Start week, and you managed to find your way onto the Chester Zoo trip.
Oh, yes.
I remember Chester Zoo so much. It wasn't when I got bird poo on my head. That bit I can live without again.
Oh, I remember that. That was
literally right on the centre of my head, and I was like, oh, God.
What would you do if the early years sector didn't exist then?
Yeah.
What would you have possibly thought about doing before? Now, before you say anything, Tori, I had you down as a mechanic.
I wanted to be a police officer or firewoman or fire.
Oh, you see, person. I thought it'd be one of those.
And I couldn't do policing because I don't have a sense of smell.
Ah.
So, you obviously, like, if someone's under the influence, that's probably a help. And again, with the fire service, if there was like a gas leak and I had no idea, that's probably not the safest.
Yeah, the risk assessment would be quite long for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a paramedic. I wanted to be the person that like drives the ambulance.
I'm gonna say I'll give you a hint. Think more about my hobbies outside of uni.
I was thinking of something to do with like confectionery.
Ooh.
Confectionery.
No.
Like sushi or like baking.
I don't think sushi's confectionery, is it?
Well, it's a food.
It's around the same ballpark.
A social media influence?
No?
I've tried that, no. It would be something with a musical theatre. I nearly went, instead of doing my level 3 in college to do childcare, I nearly went to do a level 3 in musical theatre and acting.
Oh, so who is the real Charlie? Dun dun dun.
But I didn't, because my hand condition, I knew I was going to have operations, and I wanted a stable career choice because I knew I wouldn't get the training the same.
Are you happy you didn't do that, though?
Well, I can do it as a hobby, can't I?
What do you think I'd have been?
I think confectioner. I don't know.
I'm
Go
not
on,
going to
Charlie.
lie, Declan, all I can see you as is someone who's in a caring profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I think you'd be a really cool bus driver. But, like, not in, like, just the fact that our accommodation, I love the bus drivers and they're so happy and funny, and I just feel like you'd be a really happy bus driver.
Not one of the grumpy ones who just kind of start driving when you're still walking to your seat.
Are you thinking of any bus driver in particular?
There's this one bus driver at our accommodation, and when a red light comes, he claps. It's my favourite thing.
See, that's dangerous. I wouldn't be doing that.
He's like, oh, well done.
I get on with old people, animals, and kids.
Yeah.
My
grandma would love you.
Right, I'm cautious of the time,
Yes.
but I do want to talk about one last thing,
Yes.
and that is how COVID-19 is affecting the early years sector. Now, I know yesterday the Education Secretary, Gavin Williams, said that the children that haven't gone back already won't be going back until September. Now, decisions like this could be seen as political. One political decision comes to mind is the closure of Sure Start centres and local authority-run children's centres. Do you think it's in the best interests of both staff and children to postpone more children coming back until the start of the next academic year?
In all fairness, in terms of safety, yes. In terms of academic support, no.
I suppose the argument would be about online learning. Do you think that's effective?
Not for young years, like the early years, no. It couldn't be further from it. But for maybe year 3, 4 and upwards, it's not as bad. But when they're still at the age where they need to learn through doing and more physical activities, whether it is just in class work, they're not going to pick up the things the same as if they were doing an online class, because the focus just wouldn't be there.
Teachers going back keep posting on Twitter about the class, pictures of the classrooms.
Oh yeah, they look
and it's
so
heartbreaking.
sad. I thought originally when it was just the key worker children at school and everybody else was home, I thought it wouldn't be too detrimental for early years, because obviously everybody will be starting roughly at the same level. Everybody will have missed the same amount of learning, so it's not like one child's missed out and the rest haven't. Whereas now some children are going back to school and others aren't. I feel like that does put like a gap between where children are who are at school and children who are at home.
I think it puts a lot of pressure on staff as well, because some schools are able to social distance, which is fine. They're quite big academies. And you've got the other end of the scale where you've got your old village buildings that really find it hard to follow that 2-metre rule. And it's striking that balance about what's right for your school at that moment in time.
My local primary school, it was my primary school, has 400 students. And I think that's quite a large amount for a primary school, because there's two mixed, so there's 2 5 year, like it'd be year 5 and 6 mixed, there'd be 2 per year, so there's nearly 40 students per year group, plus early years that's added on top of it. There's just not enough room to swing a cat, I don't think, let alone social.
You're obsessed with cats. What are you
obsessed with cats?
How do you say it in Spanish? I like cats.
Me gusta gatas. Me gusta gatos.
Have you made that up? Does that just say something completely different? Is that a swear word?
You can also say tengo dos gatos, which is I have 2 cats. Which is
Are you sure? We're not going to have to get complaints, are we?
No, it
sounds right.
I'll look everything.
Did you study Spanish, Charlie?
Yeah, I did Spanish. I did Catholic, but I did it.
Oh, I did French.
Bad word.
I went to...
I know, yes.
Sorry.
Charlie, no.
That's just my contribution. It's just going bad word.
Yeah, I've been to Spain for like 5 years on holiday, so.
What would you have been though? Just on the last point, would you be team nappies or team sick? I don't know which one's the better one, but
I mean, like, I'd rather be nappies because that controls the secretion, whereas sick doesn't.
If I see sick, I'm gonna throw up. If I see nappies, I'm not gonna throw up. So nappies.
As long as I'm just pleased you've not named it like nappies and snot because I absolutely.
So.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
summarize.
How shall we end it?
I'm not very good.
I'm not very creative. I hope we filled your nappies and threw up all over you.
Oh, that's going in. That is staying in.